You've been running from something that's been trying to teach you. Every dark night, every wave of despair, every moment when existence itself seemed unbearable, you've treated these as enemies to defeat, problems to solve, symptoms of something broken in you. But what if the brokenness was the gift? What if the suffering you've spent your life avoiding was carrying a beauty you could only see by stopping the flight? There's a particular loneliness that belongs to people who have looked into the void and found it looking back. You know this loneliness. You felt it in moments you've never told anyone about. Moments when the meaninglessness of everything became so clear it took your breath away. And you've carried a secret shame about those moments, as if your capacity to see the darkness made you defective rather than awake. You've been told your whole life that happiness is the goal, that suffering is what happens when you're doing life wrong, that darkness is a detour from the proper human path. But something in you has never quite believed this. Something in you recognizes that your most profound moments have not been your happiest ones. They've been your deepest ones. And depth, it turns out, grows downward into darkness before it ever reaches toward light. Emil Cioran wrote from within the abyss, and he found something there that the positive thinkers will never discover. Suffering, fully entered, becomes its own strange form of liberation. Not because the pain disappears, but because the resistance to pain does. When you stop running from darkness, when you turn to face what you've been fleeing, you find something unexpected. The monster under the bed is not a monster, it's a mirror. And the face looking back at you is more honest than any face you've worn in daylight. This is not an argument for seeking suffering. Cioran would have laughed at the masochism of deliberately pursuing pain. What he understood was different and more radical. Suffering finds you whether you seek it or not. It is woven into the fabric of consciousness itself. And your choice is not whether to suffer, but how to hold the suffering when it arrives. The modern world has declared war on darkness. Every negative emotion has been pathologized. Every dissent has been labeled as disorder. The pharmaceutical industry has built empires on the promise of eliminating what cannot be eliminated. The fundamental ache of being conscious in a universe that doesn't explain itself. And so you've learned to treat your suffering as malfunction rather than message, as disease rather than depth. Cioran saw through this. He saw that the person who has never truly suffered has never truly lived. Not because pain has intrinsic value, but because avoiding pain requires avoiding life itself. The same openness that allows joy allows grief. The same sensitivity that creates love creates loss. You cannot protect yourself from darkness without also dimming the light. And so, the well-defended life becomes the half-lived life, safe from the depths, but also exiled from the heights. There is a beauty in suffering that reveals itself only to those who stop demanding it be otherwise. This beauty is not pleasant. It is not comfortable. It is the beauty of truth, which is often neither pleasant nor comfortable. When you suffer fully, without resistance, without the addition of suffering about suffering, you encounter something raw and real at the core of experience. You meet yourself without the decorations. You touch the bottom of things. Cioran spent his life articulating what others refuse to face. That existence is not a problem to be solved, but a condition to be inhabited. That the search for meaning is often a flight from the more terrifying possibility that meaning is something we create in the face of silence. That the darkness you've been trying to escape is actually the ground you're standing on. And learning to stand there without flinching is the closest thing to wisdom available. This sounds like nihilism to those who hear it through fear, but Cioran was not a nihilist. He was a realist of the soul. He understood that denying the darkness creates more suffering than facing it, that the energy spent running from pain becomes a pain of its own, that somewhere on the other side of complete acceptance lies a strange peace, not the peace of happiness, but the peace of no longer being at war with what is. Your suffering has been trying to teach you something. Every depression has been an invitation to depth. Every anxiety has been a signal that you're treating uncertainty as threat rather than truth. Every dark night has been stripping away the lies you tell yourself in daylight, leaving only what's real. And what's real is often uncomfortable. But it's yours. It's true. And truth, even painful truth, carries a beauty that comfortable lies can never offer. Cioran would never tell you to seek darkness, but he would tell you to stop pretending you can avoid it, to stop treating your shadow as enemy, to recognize that the despair you fear has something to offer that your defended happiness cannot provide. Contact with the actual texture of existence, unfiltered by hope or expectation. The beauty of suffering is not that it feels good, it's that it feels real. In a world of surfaces and performances, of curated lives and managed emotions, suffering cuts through pretense with surgical precision. You cannot suffer and simultaneously maintain your masks. Pain strips you bare, and in that bareness, something authentic finally breathes. This is why your darkest moments, however unbearable they seemed, have also been your most defining. They showed you what you're actually made of. They revealed what matters when nothing seems to matter. They offered the gift that only darkness can give, the discovery of what light you carry when all external light has gone. You don't need to love your suffering. You don't need to seek more of it. But you might consider stopping the war against it. You might consider that the darkness you've been fleeing has been your teacher all along, offering lessons your happiness could never teach. And you might find, as Cioran found, that there's a strange beauty waiting in the places you've been most afraid to look.